Welcome in, everybody, to Leading Off. It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia. That is Dan Harris. It's us and it's you. And today we're going to take a look back at the night that was in Major League Baseball and a little look forward as well to our night in DFS. We got 11 games on the main slate today, a couple of postponements yesterday, a couple of good pitching performances, and a movie theme that our own Dan Harris has put together. I'm very excited about this. I woke up this morning and saw this. I was dead to the world last night. At like 9:45, I was like, that's it. I fell asleep, and I woke up to the alarm. No getting up in between. This is a very nice thing. So Joey P is refreshed, and I get to see the show sheets in the morning and all these fun movie things. Dan Harris, look at you, wearing the hat backwards like a true DFS guru. It's so good to see you this morning, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate it. The backwards hat is really instead of showering this morning, I took the emergency trip to the grocery store to get chocolate chip muffins for my daughter. So that's really all this is. But yeah, a little movie theme today. We're both cinephiles, ready to go. Let's do it. It was a fun night in baseball last night.
Muffin emergencies. I didn't realize that
we
there
have
was such
plenty
a thing.
over here in the Harris household. Okay, muffin emergencies are like 3 a week. Okay,
so hashtag muffin emergency. If she doesn't get her muffin, she can't go to school. Don't you know this, Dan Harris? Yeah. These are the things for those of you without kids that you just don't understand. And then there's specific muffins, right? Like you got to get this certain brand from this store. People don't like this one as much. I mean, the mini muffin versus the mid-size versus the large. It's a lot going on. But let's talk about the good and the bad from yesterday because, as always, Dan Harris and I are the kings of keeping it real. Garrett Cole, very good last night. Tyler Glasnow, very good yesterday. Yep. Unfortunately, 14 strikeouts, not so much offense from the Rays. But maybe tonight you'll get a little bit more. Freddie Peralta, my boy, Freddie P. Ooh, yeah, get some. Starting to look real good. I'm telling you, that Brewers rotation. Oh, my goodness. Dan Harris, I'm excited about the over on the Brewers. We talked about that on Betting Pros quite a bit. Jed Lowry and the A's. Yes, that Jed Lowry. And you had a fun fact about Jed Lowry before we came on the show today, Dan.
Yes, he's played more games this season than the Mets. So that's something that...
Has he scored more runs than the Mets, too?
I have not looked that up, but I would not doubt it. Actually, he's certainly been more productive than the lineup. So,
all right. So the bad, obviously, Zach Greinke losing to Detroit. Ugh, gross, terrible. So not good. So we bid it on that one, and also still over in the home run column. Ugh. So just misery. Anyway, so here's the fun thing. So we've got a fun movie themes planned out for today. Let's start with The Kids Are All Right. So what do you have in this column right here, Dan Harris?
I mean, yesterday was a lot of pitching, and it was a lot of really good young pitching. Casey Mize, 7 innings, no runs, 5 strikeouts against the Astros. Dane Dunning, only 4 innings, but no runs. 5 Ks against the Rays. Albert Alzolay, again, pretty good at the bullpen let the inherited runner score there. So he winds up with 5 1/3. He does allow 3 runs, but only 4 base runners and 6 strikeouts. Freddie Peralta, we talked about. You feel like Freddie Peralta's not a kid. He's young. He's still just kind of a baby at this point. He was dominant. 6 innings pitched, 1 run, 10 strikeouts. And Huascar Ynoa, I did not really see this coming. Exactly 6 innings, 1 run, 10 strikeouts against the Marlins. So I don't know about you, Joe, like which one of these impressed you the most? Because for me, Peralta is really just the fact that he has gotten away from just relying solely on his fastball and he throws that slider. I was always the guy who faded Peralta, a couple of years ago. I know it was which one of these young Brewers stars is going to kind of take the leap with Corbin Burns and everything like that. It was not about Peralta, but I'm all in this year. And Ynoa was, I don't know where the added velocity came from. The minor league track record never supported it, but man, I was so impressed with him.
Well, I think with Ynoa, I take a slight grain of salt here because it was against the Marlins.
That's
and the Marlins offense has not been great. The thing you could point to with Peralta also is that, I think the 2 starts this year have both been against the Cubs, if memory serves.
Yes.
And that is the only cold water I'm going to throw, and I am Mr. Freddie P. Everybody knows that. I've been very excited about Peralta, and this is why you have your drafts late. This is why you don't draft in February. This is why you don't draft in the first week of March. You wait as long as you can so you see things develop, and then everybody can have a good approach to the season. Plus, you avoid some of those early injuries that happen in spring. But more to the point, Freddie Peralta was a guy that came on late in spring, started to look really good, and then you can make an investment. And the thing that I love most about Peralta in those season-long leagues is in many of them he qualifies at RP. And those mandatory RP slots where you can get that extra SP or a 2-start week from Freddie Peralta, and you get guaranteed points. See, when you start a closer or a reliever, you're not guaranteed how many innings you're going to get. I'm guaranteed probably around 10 innings at minimum from Freddie Peralta, somewhere probably more than that, more like 12. And that is huge because the amount of points he can get you or the amount of categories you can contribute in are much bigger potentially than a reliever on a given week when the team has a bad week. And I think that to me is the big difference there.
In points leagues in particular, that's absolutely right, because the starters qualify as relievers. And, most years there are a ton of guys. I mean, Maeda always used to be a guy because he had so many relief pitching performances for the Dodgers. But this year in particular, it was really slim pickings. He's the one real, starting pitcher that you can qualify as a relief pitcher in points leagues that makes a huge difference. I do also want to throw out Casey Mize. I mean, he did have only 6 swinging strikes, despite the fact that he had 5 strikeouts. So that's a little bit of a downer. But man, against the Astros, we were expecting one pitcher to be good in that game, but it was not Mize. So kudos to him. I'm interested to see where that one goes as well.
I want to give a shout out to Matthew Mercurio. Good morning, he says. First time watching the show live. Well, good morning back to you, my friend. Also, we got some love here thanking us from Michael McKinley saying thank you so much for the Freddie Peralta advice because things are going well clearly in their leagues. Yeah. Also, somebody, Cattle Reaper wants to know, Jake Odorizzi's return, good or bad? I don't think we're going to touch on him in the DFS segment, so I figured I'd bring this up now. He's coming back up. I think there's this fun thing going around where we're all waiting to see is Jake Odorizzi now this next guy that the Astros are going to get their hands on and turn into something, and it's possible. I think you wait and see. I don't think if you have him, you throw him out there tonight, even though it might be a good situation. I think you just sit back and watch a little bit tonight. That's my gut instinct anyway, because I also don't know how much the innings build is there. I imagine he's going to go 4 2/3 or something like that. Maybe if he gets to the 5th, if everything breaks right. But to me, I'm gonna wait. What's your approach with Odorizzi tonight for everybody who's got him, especially in those daily transaction leagues where you can make your lineups and move guys in and out?
Yeah, there's no chance I'd start Odorizzi tonight. He might be great, against the Tigers, but no, I'm waiting and see. But I would add him just to see where it goes. We've seen him be an incredibly productive pitcher just a couple of seasons ago. So I would add him, especially on the Houston Magic, but there's no way I'm starting him tonight.
Yeah, and look, it's just something you want to do. Let's talk about the Magnificent Seven. An old classic there. I'm not the biggest Western guy, but my favorite Western ever easily is Tombstone. Tombstone I've probably watched 100 times. I've met Stephen Lang, by the way, the actor who plays Ike Clanton in that movie, who's also in many, many other films. And let me tell you, Tombstone, if that's one of those movies that if it's on TV and I'm flipping around, I have to stop and watch it, no matter what's going on, and I will watch the entire thing. Is that the same way you are with that particular movie? I'm just curious.
Tombstone's fantastic. I'm partial to Unforgiven myself. 1992 Best Picture winner.
Also very good. Gene Hackman, excellent performance.
Yep.
Love Mean Gene Hackman. Not enough Mean Gene Hackman.
Can't go wrong.
All right, so give me your Magnificent Seven from yesterday, Harris.
All right, 7 players who stuck out to me yesterday. I mean, Tyler Glasnow. It's just we'd be remiss not to mention him. I have 1 share of Tyler Glasnow this year. It is entirely accidental. I didn't even want him, so I am just going to take that one to the bank.
How do you get an accidental Glasnow? Like an auto pick or something?
No, it was just basically in a league where it was a 14-team league, a points league with buddies who are listening right now, and they know I was waiting, and he was just like the last guy of the tier, and I was like, fine, I don't really love Glasnow, but I have to take him. So accidental or sort of backed into it is there, but I am glad I did. And I will pretend like I meant to do it every single time. 7 2/3, no runs, 3 base runners, 14 Ks against the Rangers. I realized that it was against the Rangers, so we liked him, but 29 strikeouts, just 3 walks this year. I mean, probably a top 10 pitcher going forward. Will Myers, number 2, 3 for 5 with a homer and 5 RBI, 6 walks to 10 strikeouts. That's what I like. He is seeing the ball well. He is building on the change that he made coming into last year, which I was really excited about, cutting down on that strikeout rate. So I think I was probably fading him a little too hard this year. I wasn't fading him, but I wasn't all in on him as I should have been. Akil Baddoo, 2 for 3 with a 450-foot home run off of Zach Greinke. You can't stop the
Baddoo.
I can't stop the Baddoo.
Is it weird that every time I see him up, I sing that Erykah Badu song in my head?
No, I think that's
what I do. I know it's terrible, but I do. It's like my stupid brain association. And I'm just like kind of grooving in my head and I'm watching him take at bats. I don't know.
It's entirely appropriate, actually. I don't think this is going to last, but for right now, I would ride him. Again, he hadn't played above high A. It's insane, but it's really fun to watch. I'm rooting for him, but I'm not. I'll ride him for a short term. I do not have long-term optimism there. Garrett Cole, we talked about, 6 innings pitched, 1 run, 8 strikeouts against the Blue Jays, just, dominant as he always is. Number 5, glad to see Yu Darvish bounce back. 7 innings, 1 run, 6 strikeouts against the Pirates. Again, that cures all ills. Ramon Laureano, number 6, 2 more steals yesterday. He's already up to 7 on the year. 7. That's nuts. If he is going to run like this, he's going to be a huge bargain in drafts. I know you were on him a little bit. Kudos to you. And finally, look, I'm not going to mention this guy probably the rest of the year, but Wade Miley, 5 shutout innings against the Giants. He now has a 0 ERA and an 0.55 whip. Kudos to you. Bye. I'm just kidding. Sell Wade Miley. Do not start him in his next start. But those are the magnificent 7 I saw from yesterday.
The Wade Miley thing, the Wade Miley cycle is like that thing where, on the waiver wire, pitches really well. You pick him up. He pitches terrible for 3 starts. You bench him. You drop him. You drop him to the waiver wire, and then he pitches really good for 2 starts. And it just goes around and around. Laureano and Robles were 2 guys that we were targeting very heavily this offseason. And it was basically because we looked at last year's going into the season value, bad 2020s, and all of a sudden the value just bottoming out. And you have to take those shots on those guys. I still think Robles will continue to be good as time goes on. Let's be patient. Let's see what this order is now, where it's full, where it's got Schwarber and Bell, who are going to be a theme of today's show. But Laureano in particular at the top of that lineup. And I was not a Laureano guy last year at the price.
Yes.
But all of a sudden, when the price changes and you're giving him to me for free, I'm going to take him everywhere to see if he is that 15-15 guy. And he could even be a 15-30 guy with this pace right now. And I mean, it's crazy.
Steals our product of desire. That's our theme, right? Product of desire. If he wants to steal 30, he's going to be able to do it. And I wouldn't think about it with the A's because, right, that's not kind of stolen bases unless you can do it at a 75% clip. They don't want you to run. But, I mean, 7 steals already. There's really nothing. And their offense, it might be due to the fact that their offense is so stagnant that they have to figure out a way to score runs as they did yesterday. So if he's going to run, good job. And to you, Joe, I will call it out. You liked him a lot. You liked him more than I did.
Love the Laureano.
I do not have a share of Laureano in my own leagues. So really, it's kudos to you because you really had that one.
I gotta say, like at least 50%. Like
you were on him.
Laureano.
You were on him.
Now here's a question for you. There's a couple buy or sells here, and I know you love a good buy or sell.
I do.
Noah off that start last night, buy or sell, and then another one here is Nate Lowe from the Rangers. We're very fickle here. I would say with Nate Lowe, this is going to be a streaky power hitter guy. He's going to have great runs and bad runs. So I would wait for the next good run and try to sell him off that if you can. I don't know how much you're going to get for him anyway. If you're just talking about buy or selling the player as a whole, he's just a slugger. He's going to have up and down. What about Noah for you? Is that somebody that you think you would sell off this one performance?
I mean, it depends. Sell high on every player if you can. That's the name of the game, right? You sell higher than they're actually worth. I mean, Noah, I'm not looking to basically try to acquire if I'm another manager because I need to see this against, as you mentioned, more than really just against the Marlins, especially here. But I'm intrigued by the added velocity. So I'm sort of holding. I'm not trying to dish him for anything I can get if I roster him, but I'm not exactly ready to go all in on the kid.
And by the way, Kevin, I feel good about Gallen today. I'm going to throw him out there. Gallen is top tier. The difference between Gallen and Odorizzi is very different. When Gallen's going out there, and this might be the last day we don't troll the Diamondbacks as hard, just because Gallen's on that mound. But even so, he's going to be limited. So keep that in mind to what that's able to do. And also some other questions here. We're getting a lot of questions today, which is great because that means everybody's watching live.
That's great.
And that's what we love. We love the live interaction here. It's a beautiful thing. Let's move on to another one of my favorites, Grumpy Old Men.
Sure.
And I got to tell you, I'm a bigger fan of the second one. Second one I think is even funnier than the first. The one with Sophia Loren in there.
Bringing Sophia Loren into a movie, you can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. But on top of that, too, it's Walter Matthau in Love. That's just, I don't know. There's something really charming and hysterical about that. I mean, it's just very, very funny. And who doesn't like a good Burgess Meredith reference? Of course. I mean, just a magical guy. So who's the grumpy old man from last night besides you and me?
There's one grumpy old man, and it was Zach Greinke. It was terrible. 4 2/3, 6 runs, 13 base runners, just 2 strikeouts. If you watch that game, you were just like, how does this guy get anybody out? I mean, this is something where he had 2 really good starts, and I was fading him coming into the year. I just didn't like it. Does this erase everything that I've seen the first 2 starts? Kind of, because it was really just something where I was like, yeah, I'm just not feeling this. It's like 87 miles an hour sitting there. So I'm a little concerned if I were to roster Greinke, which I don't anywhere because I was fading him. So not a good look there against a team like the Tigers, who you can't name half their lineup. So I'm a little concerned about Greinke here, but we'll see how it goes next time.
I'm giving Zach Greinke a sequel after the start. Don't worry about it. First two are
You're
very
grumpy
good.
old men too. That's
maybe
fine.
it's a bad opportunity there, but I'm always going to stick with the grumpy old men. I'm sticking with Charlie Morton and Zach Greinke and all my favorite old farts this year in Major League Baseball. I've made that very, very clear. And speaking of you older guys out there, the men out there. You got to get Manscaped, okay? You just got to go get it. The Lawnmower 3.0 is out in full effect right now. It is the greatest trimmer that they have ever created at Manscaped. I'm telling you, I've got one. And this is not one of those ploys where like, oh, I've got one and I really don't. I do. It's awesome. It's terrific. And I'm a sensitive guy. Everybody knows, very sensitive there. So it's got that incredible new technology they have there for the Lawnmower 3.0, the advanced skin safe technology. And it really does. It doesn't make any marks on your body. It's smooth going through everything. It's got the light because, as we all know, when Dan uses it, he likes to turn off all the lights and get a little romantic there and shave everything and look really good. It's also waterproof, by the way, too. So you could use it in the shower. And one of the coolest features is indeed that LED light. They've also got the 7,000 RPM motor with the quiet stroke technology. Oh yeah, everybody likes the quiet stroke technology. Quiet stroke might have to be a team name I go forward with next year. But anyway, if all this is appealing to you and you're trying to get yourself in order for beach and pool season this year, I'm telling you right now, go to manscaped.com, get 20% off and free shipping with the code leading off. That's one word, leading off. Right now, trust us, your balls will thank you for it. That's manscaped.com. The code is leading off, and that's 20% off and free shipping thanks to manscaped.com. Now, Daniel, let us talk a little bit more baseball here because we got a little newsies segment here, and I was just curious, are you going to do a little dance and stuff like this? You're going to have a little musical number?
No.
Oh, that's incredibly disappointing.
No.
That's what I thought we were building.
I can barely walk without falling over, okay? I'm not singing and dancing over here, okay?
Can you give me a jazz hand at least? What are you doing?
I've got nothing. Nothing for you. I want the news. Wow. Let's go.
All right, boy. You're all business today. Go ahead.
It's a backwards hat, man. Obviously, we saw Josh Bell and Kyle Schwarber return. They looked good. Bell struck out with the bases loaded early, just looked like fastballs right down the middle he was missing, but combined 3 for 8 with 2 runs and RBI. That Nats lineup is going to be scary. If Robles can stick at the top of that lineup, he's going to be a run-scored machine. We saw Carlos Rodon get scratched with a stomach bug, but he should be fine. Dallas Keuchel filled in. Anthony Rendon did indeed hit the IL with a groin injury, as we suspected perhaps yesterday. This does not sound like a long-term thing, but obviously get him out of your lineups. Tim Anderson should return Thursday from his hamstring injury. Max Stassi left yesterday's game with a thumb injury. Matt Olson, day-to-day, after leaving yesterday, getting hit by Hent. I'm a little worried. This is like a bad omen for Matt Olson, who's like, oh, he's got the knees, gets hit on the hand, one of these things where
it's a bad start. And Matt Olson's a streaky player. I saw, forgive me, I don't remember who was in the chat with the Matt Olson question. Look, they had Jared Walsh. I said, look, if you got Jared Walsh, you just sit Matt Olson until he gets hot again, because you can't sell him for nothing now. Just wait. He's a slugger guy, too. These sluggers are very up and down. It's only April. We're not even at the 15th of April. Give him time. It's been a weird start to the month. At some point he's going to have a May or June where he hits 10 home runs. So just chill on that.
Yep. And Shohei Ohtani apparently is unlikely to pitch this week with his blister. He is hitting, though, as he did last night, 3 for 5, 2 runs scored, and 3 RBI. So if you're like Joe and me, and we opened up a Ohtani spite store there in Tout Wars, and you can start the hitter, definitely start the hitter this week for sure.
Yeah, we got the good beans because we're getting the hitting, but we don't have the scones yet. We're still working on the scones. That's what we're trying to do. We're working on it. That's what we're doing. All right. Also, let's talk a little DFS today. And before we even get into that, I just want to say, once again, I made a statement on this on television on Sunday on Sports Grid. I'm going to bring it here too. Maybe not tonight, but we did it last night against the D-backs, and I'm going to do it more. I'm going to troll them hard this week in the wagering area. And I know, it's a fantasy show, but everyone's doing everything nowadays. And I just want to throw this out there because the rest of the week, they got the Nats coming up too. And that Nats pitching is just going to overmatch them. I'm telling you right now. So get in there. If you're going to put some, I know it's going to probably be some bad odds and things like that, but I think you can make some money this week with trolling the Diamondbacks until further notice with the way that lineup is. Let's talk about the good chalk. The good chalk tonight is the Dodgers. They've got the right guy on the mound. They've got a good opponent. Trevor Bauer, your cash games, don't overthink it. Cash game arms tonight, we've clearly got Bauer, we got Strasburg, and we got Bieber, all of which are very expensive on both sites. I am always going to defer to Shane Bieber. He's that good. And I know it's tough because you're looking at it and you're going, wow, it's against the White Sox. Do I really want to do that? And it's against Giolito. Do I really want to do that? Yeah, I think you do. I think you still do. That's how good Giolito is. If you want to be safer and pivot to Strasburg against the Cardinals and Flaherty or Bauer, that's fine. You can absolutely do that. Dan, where are you going for your cash games tonight?
First of all, if I am paying up for one of these guys, it is going to be Bauer because I do think against the Rockies in Los Angeles, that's where I'm going. I'm not sure I'm going to pay up for him, Joe, and I'm interested to hear you because you've got Bieber and Bauer as good as they get. But I love Giolito, and you can get him, on FanDuel at 9.8K, or maybe Woodruff, who dominated the Cubs. Cubs can't hit at all right now with 8.8K on FanDuel. So I might, even in cash game lineups, take a little bit of the discount. Are you a guy who, especially on FanDuel where you don't have the second pitcher, are you a guy who automatically is just going to go to whatever one of the top two arms is, and that's going to be it?
I'm a guy who likes to look at the slate and understand what the right contest is for the night.
Okay.
Some nights it's a cash game night. Some nights it's both. Tonight is a multi-entry tournament night because there's so many different variations. There are so many 4 outcome games that Dan and I like to talk about where you could see them all going in different ways because of the pitching matchups. But yeah, specifically, you can do cash game multi-entry tonight with some of these other pitchers. Woodruff is just 8.8 on FanDuel. Giolito's 9.4. Now, the roster percentage is going to be lower on Giolito, so that makes him more of a multi-entry tournament play for me because you can still get the strikeouts out of him and probably get a good roster percentage. And I don't chase roster percentage. It's not something I chase where I'm trying to be different. But tonight, it's good different. It's easy different. So why not take the plunge there? Giolito and Woodruff are those guys. And if you want to give even Stranger, Fried, and Bundy might be in that conversation also.
Bundy too. Yeah, Bundy. I mean, at 9K, it's really there's a lot of pitching out there right now.
The good thing with Bundy, Giolito, and Woodruff is they're all around the same price. They're somewhere between 8.8 and 9.4, which means you can keep the hitting that you have if you like the hitting lineup you got, and there's kind of mix and match pitchers and do it that way and keep it simple. On DK, a little bit more complicated too with all those. You could pay up for double aces there. You could do the pocket aces and just kind of fade the hitting, especially if hitting is down overall tonight, which it might be, Dan. That's the kind of scenario we're looking at where overall offense might be a little lighter with so many good pitchers on the board. But we all know it's baseball. It could turn into one of those crazy nights. So if so, you could also go the other way. Castillo's just 7.1 against the Giants. My problem is they don't strike out a ton. So Gossman at 6.8 is fascinating. He is a fascinating second arm tonight because of the matchup and the roster percentage is going to be very low. Woodruff's just 7.5 there. And Boyd was really good in his last start too. You want to talk about an interesting scenario where maybe Astros are a little cold. You get Odorizzi, who's got maybe 5 innings at most in him. Yeah. There's an opportunity there with Boyd as a secondary arm too. So again, this is a if you're the kind who doesn't like variations or doesn't have a big bankroll, maybe you sit this one out tonight. But overall, I think that's my approach, which is go out there with 2 or 3 different lineups, interchange some pitchers on both sides, and I think that's the way you go.
Yeah, I like to have fewer lineups than most people do. I like to have one.
I don't like mega lineups.
But this one, you have to in this one because the pitching is going to be the difference because there are so many arms out there that can really do it, and so I'm going to have a bunch of different combinations right now because there are so many intriguing pitchers, and you can make it work on DraftKings where you need 2, especially, but even on FanDuel. I mean, I think because you have Bieber, because you have Bauer, but because you have other guys like Strasburg, even like Flaherty, like Woodruff, like Giolito, you're going to have, the ownership is going to be incredibly interesting to see. So you can go a bunch of different ways. So I'm going to have a bunch of different lineups tonight.
You're going, one of these pitchers could have a transcendent night, and that's going to crush everything. Right. So if you have that guy, it's true. Like if Bieber goes and throws a complete game shutout with 12 Ks, it's every Bieber lineup's going to cash, and then everything else is going to be suspect. But I think there's also that scenario where you have to build in your head with as good as the pitching is, your threshold for pitching, let's say on FanDuel, you have to have a minimum of 40 points from your pitcher tonight. So once you start questioning whether or not you can get 40 from that pitcher as a single pitcher site, I think you have to kind of fade off that pitcher. Now, Woodruff might be that last guy in the watermark where you go, okay, I feel good about this. Maybe Bundy. Once you start to go maybe, I think you have to give a little pause. I think that's what you do. Let's talk about the stacks tonight. The Dodgers, keeping it simple once again.
Yes.
Just because it's easy doesn't mean it's wrong. The Rays, I know there was only 1 run last night. I know. But Kyle Gibson's on the mound. And I think that helps.
He burned us last time. That's the only thing, right? We were ready. But
he did.
I agree with you, by the way. Go ahead. I agree with you on this one.
But here's the point I'm going to make too is with the Rays, people, you need cheap offense. So
Yeah.
find a cheap offense in a, BVP situation you like. And I think that's the kind of situation I'm looking for because I can't afford anybody else with these pitchers. So it's
That's
got to
the
be like
thing.
the Rays offense or
That's the
Atlanta. And the other one to me is going to be the Nationals. And you're going to hear why in a second. Now, let's take a look at some of the Nationals bats. Bell and Schwarber are both just 2.5. I know Trey Turner's been ice cold, but eventually that's going to change. Flaherty does have the impetus at times to give up some runs and sometimes walk some guys. And I think you look at that and you can get Bell, Schwarber, Strasburg, or Bell, Schwarber, Bieber, whatever that is. You can add Juan Soto in on FanDuel. You can make all of that work because Bell and Schwarber are just 2.5. And I think you can really eat on that Washington lineup tonight. That's where I'm putting my money. There's also Willie Adams and Brandon Lowe on FanDuel at 2.7. Ozuna's just 2.7. He's streaky. Eventually it's going to come around.
Yep.
Akil Baddoo's 2.8 on DK. You got some Dodgers that are cheap. You got Gavin Lux at 3.8 and Pollock at 3.7. And also Josh Bell on DK is just 3.0. So a lot of value there if you want to get in and keep it safe with the offense. I think I do.
Yeah, the Dodgers are really where I'm going to go because there's a lot of good pitching on this slate, but Senzatella, as good as he was in his last start, it's not something that I'm really concerned about. So the Dodgers is where I'm going, but I do like the Rays as much as sort of I joked about the fact that Kyle Gibson burned us last time. I don't really expect him to do it again. I toyed with Austin Meadows being my home run call of the night, but I'm going to go off that. But I don't mind really anywhere you go in that lineup whatsoever. But Austin Meadows is if I'm going to pick one Rays hitter, he's 3.2 on FanDuel. He's a guy who I'm going to try to fit into my lineup.
Well, I am going with a Ray for my home run call tonight.
Okay.
It's Randy Arozarena. I'm going to write
that.
my own redemption tonight. That's what I'm going to do. So, and this is the beautiful thing about DFS. If you didn't like a player in season long, well, you can kind of make up for any mistakes that you had. We talked about that yesterday by having him sometimes at DFS. I think Arozarena is a guy tonight in a good spot to go yard. So I'm going to call my shot with him. Who are you calling your shot with? Come on, one of us. I just want somebody to get one of these right here.
All right, I'm going to change it up. Okay, because I feel like I've been going with like the stud player and it's just not working out. So I'm going to go a little under the radar, a guy who we haven't talked about, who's not a particularly even good player at this point in his career, but it's Justin Upton against Danny Duffy. He's got a good career, good career numbers against the guy. I feel like, and Upton, I mean, I watch him, a fair amount. I like the way he's been swinging about. I have him in a couple of very deep leagues. So I'm going to go a little off the beaten path. Justin Upton, just 2.7 on FanDuel at this one. So I'm going to go with him against Danny Duffy.
All right, before we close out tonight, Tony Fedora, which I'm pretty sure was a guy from my neighborhood that used to run numbers, says, "You two have become my morning coffee. I can't begin my workday without you." Thank you. Thank you, Tony, for watching and listening to the show. And of course, if you do, go give a 5-star review and then you can get involved in our contest and win some free swag. Or we got a free Ronald Acuna jersey we're giving away, fantasypros.com/MLB contest. You go write a review of the show, you take a screenshot, you go to fantasypros.com/MLB contest, and boom, just like that, thanks to our friends at Pristine Auction, you can fill out that form, upload the screenshot, and get a chance to win that. It's going to be going the rest of the month of April. We got time to do it, but just do it now. Any parting shots here today for everybody, Dan?
No, I will just say one thing on the reviews because I do think it gets lost in something. Obviously, enter the contest, enter the Ronald Acuna jersey. I mean, signed Ronald Acuna jersey giveaway. Come on, get in on that for sure. But I will say something on the reviews. Like, I know most people probably don't think about it. And before I started podcasting, I didn't really understand how much reviews meant. We read all the reviews. We try to incorporate any suggestive comments, but we really appreciate them. And the more reviews you get, the more it helps the podcast go. Joe and I are going to be here for you guys every single day and the weekdays anyway, going forward. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing it from my mother's house. We're not going to let you down. We're going to be here. That's going
to be a special edition.
My kids will be making an appearance on a Monday without question. My mother perhaps too. But anyway, look,
please, let's do that.
We're closing in on 900 reviews. It'd be great to get to 1,000 by the end of the season. So again, the reviews, just if you enjoy the show at all, it takes 3 seconds. Just drop a review in there for us on Apple Podcasts or anything like that. I promise you we read them. I promise you we really appreciate it. And it helps the show get even a little more reach than it's already gotten. That's my parting shot.
That's beautiful. That's very, I want to adopt a shelter animal now. That was beautiful. It was very nice. And again, Apple Podcasts or CastBox where you can do that. Also a reminder, 20% off and free shipping with the code leading off at manscaped.com. That'll do it for us, but we'll be back again tomorrow to do it all again. For Dan Harris, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.